right, welcome everyone to this episode's Study on Spotlight. I am the typical Regan from DADI Education Group. Today we're at Sacred Heart School at Montreal, and we have...
I'm Patricia Brion, head of school here at Sacred Heart.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today. I mean, it's very first time where we don't do the tour first, and then we go straight into talking about the school. So I'd love to know more about the school, please.
Sure. So probably what is most important about the school is that we are a very old school, 1861. So the school is actually older than Canada itself. We were here before Canada became a full-fledged country. We are an all-girls school, obviously. And I think that it's a school that has been evolving for many years. One of the most important things for people to know about this school is that we are not a standalone school. We are one of 25 Sacred Heart schools in North America and one of 150 Sacred Heart schools across the world.
Wow, so are all Sacred Heart schools girls' schools?
No, they're not.
Oh.
Good question. So many of them are, in fact, most of them are, but there are some schools that, as they have evolved, and I think that's the beauty of a Sacred Heart school, is that most of us are schools with a very long tradition. Many have evolved and decided for their environment, for whichever country they may be in, that they've decided to become a co-ed school for either part or for all of that schooling. So it could be for elementary, they're co-ed, for high school, they're girls, or a combination thereof. Most schools, though, like us, have remained all girls.
Oh, okay. So talking about, single gender schools, do you think there's any advantages as well? Because, nowadays there's so many mix between co-eds and just single genders. People are deciding between, which one should I go to?
Sure, yeah. Well, we feel pretty strongly that there's a great advantage to all girls environments. There's still a major gap for women in terms of equity. There's still plenty of spaces at tables that are not taken by women. And we think that in girls' schools, girls are given an opportunity to have real leadership. And so, if you're going to a girls' school, every spot is for a girl. The student council president is going to be a girl. The captain of the football team is going to be a girl. So all of the space that we have is entirely for girls. And we're really trying to promote that idea of leadership, confidence, one taking their spot at the table.
I mean, of course, in the school, it'll be all single gender, all girls. But from a parent's perspective is, outside of school, the world is, multiple different people, not just all girls. So will they have any chances where they interact with the opposite gender as well?
Yes, absolutely. So definitely within the walls of the school, we are all girls. But we do have at least one other all-boys school in the city that we do a lot of work with. And so we kind of consider them a brother school. And we'll put kids together, obviously, for social events, because that's something that's important to everyone. But we also put them together for other events, too. So if we have guest speakers, we'll invite them to come and be part of that. We recently paired our junior school girls with that boys' school for a trip to an escape room, where they could come and kind of compete with each other instead of against one another. Sometimes we'll be in one another's plays, that kind of thing. So we do offer a lot of different opportunities for them to get together. But on the daily, they're in the gym, all girls, in the classroom, all girls.
Oh, okay. Amazing. I want to talk about the location as well, because we're based in Montreal as well. It's in Quebec, and people think that, okay, Quebec means you have to speak French. It is a school?
So our school is English. It has always been an English school. But in the province of Quebec, 100% people who want to work and live here need to be able to be bilingual. So we're teaching French. We have 3 different levels of French. So we recognize that everybody is coming to us with any French. Some of our students will start with us later in high school. And so they don't have a background in French. We're not going to plop them into a classroom with girls who have a lot of experience in the language. So we have a class that is a basic French class for beginners. We have kind of a medium class for people who are comfortable, and then we have a first language class for those who either maybe one of 2 parents is Francophone, maybe they've gone to French schools their whole lives, and so there's 3 levels of French. French is a big part of what we do here, but for those who are newcomers to Montreal, or I was going to say to Canada, but even to Montreal from another province, French can be an entirely new experience. And so we try to make sure that girls are leaving here with at least a basic level if they haven't had it before. And those obviously who have been in the province their whole lives, well, they're going to leave here bilingual.
So it's basically compulsory that students will need to take
Absolutely.
French. Do you think it's hard to learn French if you're comparing, like for an international student, maybe their English is not the best already, but they have to take up 2 languages, comparing English and French?
I think it depends on which language is your language of origin. I think a lot of girls who come from languages that are very different than English to begin with, find that French can be complicated in terms of grammar. In terms of speaking, not so much. We find conversational French is something that most students can pick up quite quickly. But when it comes to grammar, it's not an easy language to learn. But, you know, I think that we have students coming from all over the world. And so, you know, I'm pretty sure that students who are mastering German can probably also master French.
Wow. I mean, because, you know, I haven't learned French, but I learned Japanese, and for me, I learned English as well.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Yeah, so I feel that, you know, some people think that, you know, you speak English as a formal way of speaking, and there's like a casual way, like slangs and all that. Is this the same for French? Is that why it's easier to communicate, to talk? There's like a formal way of speaking it, and then there's a more casual way, like more modern way of speaking it.
Well, certainly if you've ever done any kind of translation and you try to translate a document from English to French, invariably the document will be much longer in French. And so you're right, in terms of the written language, it is a little bit more formal. There is far less slang or even common words that you can write in French that you would use in spoken language. That's true.
Oh, okay. So once they learn it, basically, they don't say like, oh, you know, I'm speaking to someone more senior. That means that they're speaking like a more formal way.
Exactly.
There won't be too much of that because it's already very formal to begin with.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's perfect then. I got to learn French. I always learn to know. I feel like, you know, I feel like Spanish and French.
Very close.
Exactly. Oh,
Very close. Yes, they're very close. And we actually have a lot of students. We have several schools, Sacred Heart schools in Mexico. And so we have a lot of students who come here on exchange from Mexico. Obviously, their first language is Spanish. Their second language is English. And when they come to us, they pick up French very quickly. Very similar.
I was always thinking, oh, maybe I should learn Spanish first or French. I was like, oh, it doesn't matter then. I can basically, either way, it'll be quick to pick up the other one. Amazing. But I mean, in Montreal, does that mean, because the school is English, but outside the community mainly speaks French? So do students go out? That means if you live in Montreal, you have to speak a lot of French, or is that English is still okay?
No, I think Montreal is it's a very cosmopolitan city. And so anybody working in the city, particularly in the city where we're very downtown, they're used to having people from all over the world here. English is still a very commonly spoken language everywhere. And so most places that you go, people will be able to speak both French and English. So students come here, you know, to go to McGill University. They come here to go to Concordia University. They come from all over the place. Those are very long-standing English institutions too. And so people will certainly make every effort to speak to students in English if they can't speak French.
But I mean, since, you know, it has a French language, it means, do they take a lot of French culture as well in Montreal? Oh.
Yes, so that's something that's particular to our school in terms of curriculum. We have French classes, but we actually also have a French class called French culture. And so in that way, they learn a little bit about French culture from everywhere. So not only from Quebec or Montreal, but all of the francophonie, so any French-speaking country anywhere. So it can be literature from French parts of Africa. It can be film from Haiti, from all different places where French is the first spoken language, so that they understand that French isn't only common to us. We're a very small minority in a very big country that speaks French, but obviously French is widely spoken throughout the world. And so we try to introduce a little bit of culture from all of the different places that speak French.
Comparing all the cities as well, you know, because Quebec and Montreal as well have such a strong French culture and embedded into it. Does that mean the city itself, the vibe, or maybe the buildings or the things it offers is very different?
So I think that Montreal, if you've been, and you know, if you've been fortunate enough to visit all of us, you know, particularly when you compare Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver, they're three different cities with three very different kinds of vibes. So, Toronto is a much more modern city. It's kind of built on a grid, and so it's easy to find your way around. Vancouver is a beautiful city, water and mountains beside it, but also quite dense. And Montreal is a much older city. Montreal is a much more international city, so you find people from all over the world who live in Montreal, and I think that that's what makes it feel a lot different. We have an old part of the city and a new part of the city, but certainly I would say Montreal is to New York what Toronto is to Chicago. So for people who have done any kind of touring around North America, Montreal is a very vibrant city. There's a lot of different things going on. Big art city, also with a big history. Whereas Toronto is much more of a business kind of place. It's beautiful too, but it has a very different feel. Ours is a much more, I would say, just a much more lively city.
I mean, for students, if they're deciding between those cities, do you think there's any benefits if they choose Montreal instead of like the bigger cities of like Toronto or more popular like Vancouver?
Well, there's no question that in terms of affordability, Montreal is a much more affordable city, both in terms of just regular day-to-day living, like using, the metro, subway, public transportation is literally half of what it would cost in Toronto. Housing costs are less expensive as well. And it's easier, I think, to get around. We're not as widespread as Toronto, so that makes it, I think, a better place to be. I also just think, I'll go back to what I said before about it being a very international city. I think for any students coming from somewhere else, this is a comfortable place to be because we have kids from all over the world. And so nobody comes to Montreal and feels like an outsider. Everybody is already from all over the place.
Are there any differences actually, like between maybe Quebec and Ontario, because like maybe laws or policies? Is there anything that's very different as well?
Yes, there's a lot of different kinds of rules and laws, particular to Quebec, because we are considered quite distinct on account of our French language status. In terms of curriculum, we're quite different as well. So everywhere else in the country, you will find kids will go to grade 12. So it's kindergarten to grade 12. In Quebec, we are from kindergarten to grade 11. And when students graduate in grade 11, they then have the opportunity to either do a 2-year college program that is kind of pre-university, then they go to university, or they go to grade 12. But the grade 12 program they would follow in Quebec is not from Quebec. They're getting an Ontario diploma in order to complete grade 12 here.
Okay.
So it's quite different in that we stop at grade 11. Everybody else goes all the way to grade 12. And this 2-year college that's kind of pre-university is something that is only found here in Quebec.
Oh, interesting. So at the school here, is that the same as well in terms of the curriculum?
So at our school, we do the regular curriculum, which goes to grade 11, but we also offer a grade 12 diploma to our students. And it is, as I said, offered through the Ontario curriculum. So our internal curriculum is the Quebec curriculum. And then in order to have a grade 12 diploma, because Quebec doesn't exist, we borrow and license the diploma from the province of Ontario. For some of our international students, it's really interesting because it means they can come here, they can finish and get a Quebec diploma, and then if they stay with us for 1 more year, they also graduate with an Ontario diploma, so they have both.
Oh, okay. So the school doesn't offer the 2-year...
No, if they want to move on to the 2-year programs, those are very particular institutions unto themselves, and they're called CEGEPs. So they exist. There are several CEGEPs in the city, and students go there before they go to university. So they finish with us, get a high school leaving diploma, and then either go to CEGEP where they get a college diploma, or they go to grade 12 with us or another school and continue like that.
Oh, okay, so year 11 basically means they graduated from high school. So
exactly.
technically they graduate 1 year earlier.
That's right.
Oh, But I mean, most students will do further studies, basically.
Everybody will go to university from our school. Our school is a university prep school, so everybody who is with us will either do that 2-year route through the CEGEP, or they'll do grade 12 and then go on to university, but everybody's plan here is to go on to post-secondary studies.
I mean, since year 12 is offering the Ontario diploma, I think some people might think that, well, why don't I just study in Ontario then? Do you think there's any advantages, like comparing why does it go to Montreal and then finish that Quebec curriculum at year 11 and then take that year 12 Ontario instead of just going to Ontario as well?
I think that, I mean, I think we would have to say there would be an advantage to saying that you have both, to saying that you have a Quebec diploma and you have an Ontario diploma if you do it with us. On top of that, I think it's one of the things that people often don't know is that the Quebec program is very specific. We have a lot of the same kinds of things on offer as other provinces, but in particular, Quebec is very well known for its math program. And so I think it's very interesting, depending on what students want to study, that they know that the Quebec math program was kind of revamped about 15 years ago. And since then, our students have done incredibly well. It's both accelerated and advanced. So students coming here from other places often find that they find it a little bit difficult at first because our students are moving quite quickly through the curriculum. But also if you look at international rankings, so if you look at the PISA rankings, which rank the entire world with 15-year-olds for mathematics, you'll often see that Canada will come in somewhere in the top 5. But it's not only Canada coming in the top 5, it's really that Quebec students are coming in the top 5. So you may see Singapore and it could be China, it could be Hong Kong. You'll see other places that have a very strong math programs, and then you'll see that Quebec is on there because our program is very, very strong. So I think that that's super helpful for students if they're considering a future in medicine, if they're considering a future in engineering, anything that's maths oriented. They're going to finish high school feeling very confident about the math they have, and I think that it gives them a slight edge over some of this other students that will be at universities elsewhere in the country.
Oh, do you know, is there any particular reason why maths is in the curriculum, it's more advanced compared with other provinces' curriculum?
I think that they just, when they revamped that curriculum, they decided to kind of move everything up a little bit. So what students were studying, for example, in grade 9, they now study in grade 8. And when they kind of made everything a little bit more intense at every year, it meant that that final year is where students will do quite advanced calculus and functions. Wow. And calculus and functions generally is a first-year college course. So in Quebec, students are doing that in their last year of high school.
That's amazing. Like they finish a year earlier, but then they already doing like college level maths at the same time.
Yeah.
So does that mean if they take the Ontario diploma, if there's maths involved, then it's kind of easy for them? So
exactly. So if they go ahead and do the Ontario diploma, the grade 12 diploma is calculus, is the math course in the grade 12 Ontario program, and our students have already seen most of it. So they're quite comfortable with the level of math that they're presented in grade 12.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an advantage, guys.
Yeah.
That's actually already an advantage. They get 2, and it's actually not as hard because they already got an advance.
They've already seen it. And I mean, even for students who maybe were quite challenged with it the first time around, they're certainly going to do better with that material when they see it the second time around in grade 12. So, yeah.
Then for international students, does that mean will they find it a little bit harder if they study in Quebec, like the curriculum, because it's a little bit more advanced?
Entirely depends on where they're coming from. Certainly, as I said, there are other schools where we know the math programs are very strong, and other countries where in general the math programs are very strong. I think that one of the things students need to be aware of is that a lot of the math that we do are what we call situational problems, and so there's a lot of problem solving that does involve language. So that can be a little bit tricky for students if they're coming in feeling like they really were very, very strong mathematics students in their home country. When they get here and realize that they have to put all of those math skills to written word problems, that can kind of be a little bit of a challenge at first. But once they start to understand how to read those problems and they know what it is that they're looking for, it generally works out quite well.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, now I really want to see the maths. Well, I'm not good at maths, but I'm just curious. I just want to compare, like, okay, let's see, is it that much advanced? I won't be able to do it either way, but it's interesting. So do you think that, like, maybe from Hong Kong or maybe China in specific, the students who come over here, do you think they struggle in terms of the academic side then?
I think that that's a good question. I don't think that they struggle. I do think that particularly in Hong Kong and China, there is a very strong math program. So I don't think that students coming in from Hong Kong and China are concerned about our maths. Students from other countries probably are.
Right.
But not so much from there. I do think that the language is an adjustment, but I think that that would be the case no matter where they go.
Absolutely.
You know, there's learning a language, as you know, learning a language, if you're not immersed in it, it's very complicated. And so, you know, we spend a lot of time reading books and you know, having kind of rote conversations that aren't very natural. And so once students are immersed in the language, I think that they find that that's fine. If they're feeling confident about their English, they're feeling confident about their academics. So I think that that's ultimately the answer, is that you need to have a level of confidence in your language abilities in order to feel like you're really doing well academically.
Absolutely. I mean, if they live here, they need to be confident in communicating, even if they struggle. That's the thing as well.
And all of it takes time.
Of course.
So certainly students who are coming to us, you know, any student who's new to the school in September is not the same as when they leave here in June, but that's especially true for students coming from another country. It takes time, you know, not just to get their head around the curriculum, but also to feel confident about who they are, where they are, taking the bus, you know, what trends are cool for teenagers here versus at home. It's a major transition. But I do think that generally speaking, we've found that students coming from Hong Kong and China in particular, academically, they're very conscientious when they're coming here. They're coming here quite serious about their studies, and they usually already have a goal in mind in terms of post-secondary studies. And so we offer a lot of supports to make sure that we can help get students there as well.
Amazing. So what's one big change that you see in international students after they study through Sacred Heart? Like a common one? Is there any particular things?
I think that students here have a lot of opportunities to do a lot of things extracurricularly. And if we're a small school, and so every student is known, every student is followed. We have a student life director who spends a lot of time, you know, checking in with students. If a student is not involved in extracurricular activities, then they're being met with to ask if everything is okay and to suggest things that might be particularly helpful for them. So we may have students who are international who are saying, I really just want to concentrate on my studies. I don't feel like I want to be involved in extracurriculars. And our student life director will find a way to help them so that they find something that that can fit into their schedules, so that it doesn't compromise their studies, but that gives them a more fulsome experience. And so, you know, we've had international kids come and do Model United Nations. We've had students come and do public speaking. If a student is really math oriented and they say, I really don't feel confident with my language abilities, well, then we have competitions that are math competitions where they're representing the school too. And we'll say, get involved in those things so that when they leave here, they're feeling like they were part of a bigger experience. And I think that most students, when they leave here, will tell you that they did. They took advantage of those opportunities. They felt like they had created friendships that will last a very long time. And most importantly, they gained confidence through not just their classroom experience, but through that extracurricular experience.
Okay. Does the school offer residence, or is it homestay for international students?
No, we have a boarding facility, so you'll see that on your tour.
Amazing.
Our boarding facility is small. We like to think of it as kind of a home away from home. You'll see on your tour, but students come to us. They can spend. Some students will come and they'll live with us for 5 years. So from grade 7 all the way through grade 11. And then other students, because we have so many sister schools around the world,
Yep.
we often have visiting students who stay with us between 3 and 5 months.
Yep.
And so, I mean, currently we have a couple of students with us from Germany and Austria,
Yep.
and another from Mexico. So they're here just for 3 to 5 months just to experience Montreal and experience Sacred Heart here in the city. And then other students who are international who will come. Some will only come for the last few years of high school. Some will stay for the entire time.
Yep.
And they live here, obviously, 7 days a week. We have a full boarding staff who takes care of them. And we make sure that every single weekend, so I often joke around and say that the kids who are living with us, they see more of the city than any of us do. Every single weekend, they have activities. So, you know, on Saturday, they may go to the museum in the morning and to a hockey game in the evening. The following Saturday, they may go to the Science Center and then do some shopping. Every single weekend, they're doing something in and around the city or outside of the city. So they could go skiing for the weekend. We often take them away for long weekends to other places. So we'll take them to Toronto so they can experience what it's like over there versus here. So yeah, our boarding facility, I think it's a great place for students to be if they are not coming with mom and dad. But it's also great for our students to have kids from all over the place who are with them in their everyday classes.
Amazing. I mean, can students, maybe the older ones, just go out to the city by themselves, or do they have to be with the staff?
So we do kind of keep quite close tabs on students because, you know, everybody who is staying with us, pretty much all of our students are under the age of 18. And so we want to make sure that we are taking care of them the same way that they would be taken care of at home. Of course, teenagers want freedom. And so on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings, students will go out together. They're never allowed to go out in the city alone. So that way, you know, and we also are very in close contact with all of the technology we have through our apps on our phones, so we know where they are. But yes, they are allowed to go out. They also spend time with our students who are not boarders. So if they're boarding students, they may go out together for dinner on a Saturday night, then come back, you know, before their curfew. But sometimes girls who are in boarding will also go to a party with friends who are just regular day students and have sleepovers at their place. So they get to know one another quite well. And as long as, in that case, we just make sure that the parents of the child who's having the sleepover is in contact with us, and that the parents of the child who's in boarding has given permission. So they really do, they build great relationships with other students in boarding, but they also generally, you know, have regular teenage lives with the other kids in the classes. So they're all going out together all the time. It's one of the main things that students coming from other countries love, is that we are so close to the downtown core. And so, you know, in comparison to some boarding schools where it's more of a pastoral location somewhere out in the country, here they literally walk out the door and walk down the street and and grab Starbucks. So it's one of the things that they really love, is they can explore the city really easily on their own.
I mean, Justin, I remember you said students staying from year 7 to year 11. So does that mean year 12 students in a separate location, or?
No, they're here too.
Oh,
they're
okay,
here too.
okay.
And if they decide to stay, we actually have a few students in boarding who are in grade 12.
Oh,
And so they also have the option of staying in boarding if they like, yes.
Okay, amazing. I mean, I think the time's almost there. So before we finish, is there anything you want to tell the potential students, or maybe people from Hong Kong and China? Anything about the school? Any messages you want to tell them?
I think that people coming to Montreal in general will find that this is a fantastic city. We're very cosmopolitan, very welcoming. Students always say they can't believe how friendly everyone here is. And I think that our school in particular is very welcoming. We're used to having a lot of international students. Because we have this massive network, we're used to having students coming from all over the world. And it's one of the advantages, we think, of being part of this global network, is having students come from everywhere else. And so I think that students who are visiting us will feel that this is a priority for us. We want our students to feel that they're connected to a global place. And I think that students from Hong Kong and China should feel very confident that they're well prepared at home to take on the curriculum that we would give them here.
Amazing. Well, thank you for your time today, Patricia.
Thank you.
And to the audience, if you have any questions about the school, feel free to reach out to us or directly to the school as well. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you. Thank you so much.
you.